figured it out.
Yeah, that's it. But you want to remove the other link then?
Yeah. I'm so hungry. I wish I had some Peppeh soup right now.
All right, guys, are we live?
Wasn't that Gideon that came here?
Here?
I think it was Gideon that walked up in here.
So we're live on IG, guys. What's up? What's up, guys? Okay, we're live, guys. We are live. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Let's give a second for everybody to get on because we are late today, and it is a new day. A little late.
There was the thing is we be late. I don't know if y'all thought we was gonna come back and like with the new style.
Okay, she said we be late. We meaning
you're
these two.
Soup. Well, I'm talking about Peppeh soup.
Peppeh soup.
Our Peppeh shakas.
Peppeh shakas.
They know us for
They know we be late.
All right, so my people. All right, so let me know if you guys can hear me. Give me a thumbs up so I know you can hear me. I just realized something, Kenya. We're not gonna be able to see people's comments and questions on
my own.
On yours.
I'll look on my iPad.
Okay, you'll look on your iPad. On your yeah, you can. And then all right, give me a thumbs up so we know you guys can hear us. We are doing things a little bit differently today because today is a different kind of episode on my channel. Because today I'm ooh,
how's that?
The lighting.
Yeah. Come on, melanin.
So
it's over to the side though. It should be like
because my shadow's on my side. If I lean back a little bit, I think it'll be fine.
Lean back.
Lean back.
I've been watching a lot of Fat Joe interviews.
Lean back. He's really interesting to listen to.
He is. He has a lot of great stories.
First of all, his voice. Although I don't know,
it says the N-word a lot. It offends some people.
Well, I mean,
that's a question.
He's not black.
Correct. That's a question for another live. But well, you know, he's a blonde hair.
We want to pick with.
He's a blonde hair, blue-eyed guy. You know what I'm saying? You just don't see his hair is blonde because he's been shaving his head. Is that your phone? Give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear us. Give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear us.
Wow. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna make some adjustments. We got an interesting live for you guys today. We got a lot to talk about. It's Peppeh soup and authentic African coming together. They had Peppeh soup, I think even before I had authentic African, right?
Yeah.
At least before I had the YouTube channel.
It was. Was it consistent? It was not.
It was not. But disconnected. Okay, we're back. So MASAH, you had told your stories about your prior marriages, right?
I don't like it when you say
it. How do you want to put it?
That was aggressive.
Okay, all right. What? How did Peppeh soup come along so we can give some people some background?
My prior marriages.
That's a trick question, MASAH.
Peppeh soup.
Leading the witness.
It is. Yeah, leading. Objection leading. Okay, so Peppeh soup is my platform that was started during COVID when we are very idle. No, that's not on us, Joe.
Yeah, no. Don't worry.
Okay, so Peppeh soup. Yes, Peppeh soup was the YouTube channel that was started by me, Kenye, my sister Biv, and our two cousin Bivs, Bandu and Ami, to tell the story of sordid African love gone wrong.
Okay.
And so I felt like it was only fair to share my story, having been through one or two marriages and divorces. And so the first few episodes, they were supposed to be the first few episodes, they were actually the only episodes that we ever made. The first few episodes are about my actual marriages, plural.
There it is.
The Peppeh.
That's the Peppeh.
That
right.
was my marriage. That was my marriages, plural.
Okay. So, and then of course you have your support system.
Not your
just blocking the light. Just specifically women. And so I'll give my opinion, and maybe you two can give your thoughts on maybe men in particular. All right. So it looks like you guys can hear us. Phoenix Indigo said you can hear us. Sorry, we got disconnected. But we're back live. Phoenix, okay, and Phoenix, I think you went over to YouTube. And then Lenora's there. What's up, Lenora? And then we got a couple people on the Instagram live too. Let me YouTube stream died. I joined. Yeah, okay. The YouTube stream died. Today's been one of those IT technical difficulty days. Even our location had to change. We were going to do this at Freetown Chop House. These two lovely young ladies are the owners of Freetown Chop House. And the idea of Peppeh Soup in this new iteration was to do it at Freetown Chop House. So, you know, we could be eating at Freetown Chop House and doing this live. But, you know, the internet, the technology, the power wasn't cooperating with us today. And so we have to do it from an undisclosed location in an area of Accra, Ghana. Anyway, all right. So do we want to do introductions really quickly? I should introduce myself, I guess, to your audience. Well, I've been talking a lot. Let's do introductions first. So MASAH, do you want to go ahead and start?
Yes.
Sorry.
So my name is MASAH. As of next week, you'll also be able to catch this streaming because we're going to start doing it weekly. He's our accountability partner. We just African technology.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
we're still here.
So
struggle streaming.
Yes. So I'm MASAH of Legally MASAH, and you'll be able to find this on the Legally MASAH YouTube channel and Instagram as of next week. Anywho, the first few episodes of Peppeh Soup are about my sordid love stories. And so the first few episodes, if you haven't seen them, you got to go catch up. You know, I've been through the ringer.
Yep.
With these men.
The
ringer. They put me through the fire and through the flood. Peppeh. And my first marriage to a Sierra Leonean, and my second marriage to a Trini. From the fire or frying pan to the fire. That's how I describe my marriages. Frying pan to the fire. So yeah, that's me. That's my story. I don't know if I'm an expert on relationships, but I'm absolutely an expert on peacing out.
But your day job, though.
Oh yeah.
Legally MASAH.
Legally MASAH, because I am also an attorney MASAH.
What kind of attorney?
I am a family law attorney. So divorce, custody, visitation, child support, baby mama drama, you know, if the money's right and it's in that wheelhouse, I'll take the case. No, I'm licensed in Illinois, so I am a Chicago attorney. We have offices though in Chicago and in Houston. So yes, I would say, you know, I am very proficient in making up, breaking up, prenups. So the pre-marriages, post-marriages, ending marriages, never got married, but got a child together, got knocked up. So yeah, personally and professionally, I'm not only a client, I'm the player president.
Yeah, I think you have a unique perspective from both of those two angles you just mentioned. And then I'll because ladies first.
Right. My name is Kenye, also known as the Empress Fudiyah on the internet. Streets. On the internet streets. I am an entrepreneur living here in Ghana. I am a boss. I am madame. Hey, to many.
Madame.
Yes.
Being madame.
Power. Yes. I'm the co-owner of Freetown Chop House along with my sister here, MASAH. It's a restaurant here in Ghana where we serve authentic Sierra Leonean cuisine and more. So if you're ever in Accra and you want to try Sierra Leonean food and more, then come down to Freetown Chop House. I'm also an artist in my own right, as they say.
An artiste.
Artiste. I'm a photographer. I dabble in music.
Bam.
And I'm gonna get serious about my art in 2023. It's a part of my resolution.
Excellent.
I already started doing my workouts. As I said, my booty's getting bigger. So shout out to me for putting in the work.
Yes.
Be ready by June.
Okay, cool. All right, and I am Joannis or Joe Hatago. I am a Sierra Leone American, as we all are, actually, Sierra Leone Americans. We all live here in Accra, Ghana. We all met up a little over a year ago. We had a very, very enlightening, interesting first conversation, and I was like, you two have to be on my live. So
I remember our first conversation.
We
learned
for like
so much
3
about
hours.
We learned everything about
Were
him.
you doing most of the talking?
He was, of course, he was doing most
of the talking.
And we were just like, what?
But your reactions and the conversation I had with you guys made me think.
And then we talked about how you should be on our, at the time, non-existent show,
Peppeh Soup, right. So you guys are saying I should be on Peppeh Soup, right?
On our defunct
it was absolutely defunct.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I would love to be on, and I would love to have you guys on my my YouTube live. And so maybe
bada boom, 1 year later.
Here we are doing it together. But we have done 5 lives together. We've done everything from, and we did a test run on relationships doing Young, Famous, and African. Remember that episode? We did a review of the whole season and the relationships and everything related to that show. And we've had conversations about a lot of different things, the protests in Sierra Leone, all kinds of different things. And so I think we have a good chemistry and a good vibe. And last week we were all at your karaoke event, and we agreed that we were finally going to do these joint lives bi-weekly. We'll figure it out, but it will be semi-regularly. And the idea is that we will talk about many different things. So number one, we'll talk about what's happening in the news. So anything that's happening in the news in Africa or the diaspora. So one example of that would be there was a story about a man in China who sued his wife and won, and got a divorce because she had plastic surgery, and he was upset because he said his children came out ugly. They didn't look like him or her.
With her, so he met her after she had plastic surgery.
After she had plastic surgery.
Wow, she's gorgeous.
She was
plastic
surgery gorgeous. Yeah.
And then he married her.
But that DNA.
The way plastic surgery is set up.
Yeah. So he said his children didn't look like him. Apparently he did a DNA test. They were his children.
All you, Claire.
That's all you. That's
and
half
then he
you,
found out later.
That's half of you for sure.
What's up, Web Nation Africa? I like that. After just one day of messaging you joined the live. I appreciate that. I like his interviews. Really good interviews, actually. He and I have interviewed some of the same folks too. So nice. I'm looking forward to having him on my channel one day, and then me, of course, be on his. So that's technically in China. So we prefer to do things about Africa and the diaspora, but that's just an example, right? Things that are in the news. Then, of course, celebrity news and discussions in Africa and the diaspora. So today we're going to talk about Neo. We're going to talk about BabyFace. We're going to talk about Blueface. Then we'll also look at things that are in, right? Like there's definitely times where there are Twitter threads around like what's something that your group chat doesn't know about you. And you'll hear that maybe some people will say, I told that I went to the gym, but I'm crying, boyfriend, they told me not to date, right? Like these kinds of things that are Twitter threads about relationships, will be responding and reacting and talking about those things. And then there are just videos on relationships that go viral that we will also react to in the live environment. And then lastly, with 2 more things, we're going to have a segment called Dear Auntie and Uncles, or Dear Uncle and Aunties, I guess.
We're still working out the name of that.
Working out the name, but basically you can write into us and ask us for advice on relationships, especially because we have an expert in the legal field, certified expert in the legal field.
And sorry. According to the attorney rules of ethics and conduct, we're not allowed to call ourselves experts.
Sure.
What we can say is that we have a very specialized focus in an area. So I have had a very specialized focus in the area of divorce, custody, visitation, and child support
on a professional and personal.
If that makes me an expert to layman.
Hey,
who am I?
Who are you?
Who am I to say no?
Them.
If Jesus says yes, nobody can say no except for the Illinois Attorney Registration and Discipline.
They said pipe down.
They said pipe down.
You're not an expert.
They said you're not an expert. You're never an expert. You are proficient in, and you have a focus in a particular area. And my focus is baby.
Oh, that's legit. Keep you humble. You don't know everything.
There it is.
You don't
Boom.
know everything. Who are you?
Haven't seen everything.
And so and look, and at the end of the day, she has experience professionally and personally, right?
I'm a professional expert in marriage and divorce. Now, personally, I am an expert in marriage and divorce.
There you go. And then of course, Kenye and I as adult singles, we've also had our own experiences with dating. Myself, I can speak for in particular.
One or two.
Couldn't you?
So dating in the diaspora and on the continent, as a single Black man here in West Africa, I can definitely speak to my experience.
Does everyone know that you're a single Black man?
Are there?
Yes.
Is there anybody
who would be offended
if
they saw you saying I'm a single Black man? Would they be like,
Nobody
really?
would be
Since when?
offended.
Would they penny?
They would be like, since when?
Anyway, so so nobody would be offended.
Okay.
Everybody is clear. So yeah, so we can all talk about these things. And 24 has now joined the live, by the way, and he was the one who was really looking to ask some questions. So we got you, 21. This is the live, but we can answer your question, 24. Sorry. The lady's looking absolutely stunning tonight. Oh boy. Okay,
that's the African auntie. That's how you accept
that's how they accept the compliment. Got very excited.
Thank you.
Very excited.
Anyway, we thank God.
Yeah.
No, it's God, though. We thank God.
So and then lastly, we'll just answer any questions as they come along. But basically, that's the gist of what these lives will be about. So we'll keep it to those kinds of things. MASAH, yes, please.
When it comes to our advice, about
the disclaimer,
auntie and dear uncle section, or just any advice that we give, will it be peppered with shade? It will be, but shade and love and encouragement. Shady encouragements. Yeah. Because how did you manage to get yourself in this ridiculous
Sometimes
situation?
sometimes we have to unpack some things.
Sometimes
so don't think that you're gonna come and tell your own story, then we won't now
talk about your own
side of it.
Your own foolish side of it. So what will we be calling you out? We'll be calling you out with love and shade and also encouragements.
Encouragement more than anything.
Yeah, I actually thought about that. Somebody sent me a message, a 4-page letter about her experience with a guy.
That's impressive.
And it was in my Instagram DMs. I'm not gonna bring it up here. But I thought about sharing it. I thought about sharing. Well, because she didn't know it was gonna be public. I'll ask her first.
Who in the world would ever?
But anyway, we got a bunch to talk about. So we got a lot to talk about.
You're so good at your job.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot to talk about.
Lovely.
And also, we are a bit of a time constraint because of the time of evening that it is. It's 9:30 already, and so we want to get through some of these topics. So, if you are joining on Instagram Live, you can jump over to YouTube Live. Well, I'm talking about my Instagram Live, Authentic African. If you are on Peppeh Soup, stay on Peppeh Soup because that's where we are. But if you're on Instagram with Authentic African, feel free to jump over to my YouTube Live, which I'm going to now put in the description. All right. What we can do first is let's. Does anybody have the story that they want to pull up? So we want to start with Neo. So Neo, is his divorce settlement complete?
It's complete.
Okay, so Neo's divorce settlement is complete. Do we want to give the rundown, MASAH? Do you remember off the top of your head because you had all the details? So a couple of things. Okay, so we all know Neo as singer-songwriter Neo, Neo. He wrote Mario's first single. If you guys remember Mario, Just a Friend. He wrote that, or maybe he didn't write that single. He wrote his other single, the one that was like "You Should Let Me Love You," the one where he's hating.
Oh, he wrote that?
Yeah, the one where he's hating on the guy, looking out the window.
Huh?
You know, you should let me love you. Let me be the one to be everything you want and need. Right?
I don't know. Yeah, how does it go, John?
Oh, you guys are the singers here.
No.
I don't remember. I don't know. I don't sing hating lyrics, so it was a hate. It was very much a hate.
I loved it. That
very much a hater.
Give you
everything you want and need.
That was my jam when I met my first husband.
Okay.
That was my jam. I remember listening to it and being like, "That's how he feels about me."
Okay.
Little did I know.
No, it might be how I felt about you.
It might be
how I felt about
it might be. So Neil wrote that. He's written obviously many other songs. He's written for everyone from even Beyonce. He wrote To the Left. What's that song called?
To the Left.
It's not called To the Left. Right?
Okay. I mean, that's what we call it.
Irreplaceable.
No, okay.
I think it's called Irreplaceable.
Black people to the left.
But he wrote that song. He's written many hits. He also got married to a young lady named Crystal Renee.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to read the story? Let me do this. Go ahead, read the story.
I mean, it's a long story, but we can give you the highlights. So Neo, for those who are counting, has 6.5 kids.
And a half.
6.5. He's got one on the way. By whom? Thank you for asking. So first of all, his first 2 children are by a lovely young business mogul in her own right, sort of a little queen, Real Housewives type personality of Atlanta, Monietta Shaw. So Monietta and he were partners for many years, much longer actually than this marriage lasted. And they had 2 children.
Okay.
He and Monietta separated, and then he got married to Crystal Renee. He and Crystal have 3 children, and their divorce, which is one that we're here to talk about, was finalized on January the 26th. We'll talk about the details of what she got, because she got some stuff in the divorce. But she had just filed the divorce in August. And in the world of divorce, to file a divorce in August and then be divorced by January, that is like in the blink of an eye. What that tells me is it was already in negotiations. They had already hired their attorneys. They had worked out the terms. They just needed to file it and get it finalized very quickly in front of a judge. So in any event, when she filed her petition for dissolution of marriage, Black Twitter went crazy because what she cited in there, because you always have to say, are you pregnant or are you expecting any other children of the marriage? And how many children were born or adopted in the marriage? What she said in her divorce pleading was that they had 3 children, no other adopted. She was not pregnant. However, somebody else, Kenye, Miss Big Booty. I found it, Miss Big Booty. Yes. Just knocking everything over. So what she said in her divorce pleading was that she wasn't pregnant, but somebody else was.
Mm-hmm.
Ching, ching, ching.
Correct.
That's not what you want from your husband. So yes, that was, obviously.
You imagine that was the issue?
I imagine that was probably the straw that broke the proverbial camel's back. Yes, that was in August. Fast forward to January, they already divorced, child. So she received almost $2 million cash money. This is not a settlement over time, over a span of years that he had to pay out. Neil had to write a $2 million check. I think it was 1.6 million, but we're just gonna round it up. And sis is getting $12,000 a month in child support. Won't he? Will. Yes, he will. So, honestly, I don't know what she did before. I'm sure she was a fantastic and very enterprising young lady. But she's $2 million richer, plus $2,000 or $12,000 a month for children who are very young. She came up. She came up. She's doing well for herself now. So thank you, Neo, for being I don't want to say you were a slut, but you a little bit of a hoe. So, and now you're paying for it. The thing is, people just have to realize you have to pay for that privilege. That's all. Like sometimes you have to pay
you always you can do whatever you want.
Do what you want to do.
You can do whatever you want.
Once you have now married me, you've now taken this your ring, you putting it on this my finger. Like, and I've also pushed your children out of my uterus. Like, you're just gonna pay for the privilege. That's all. So thank you for setting her up on behalf of Crystal Renee and all the cheated on wives in the world. Thank you for that. So so that's what we came up with. So 2 by Monietta, now 3 by Crystal in the sanctimony of marriage.
Sure.
And then he had the 1 baby that we found out about in Crystal's divorce filings. And then fast forward to now February. We're now 1 month out from the wedding and find out that the jump off, because that's what you are. Right. Well, maybe you think you're wife number 2. I don't know. I don't know what you think.
We'll see what happens.
And okay, whatever. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about that. The point is that now extramarital affair lady is now pregnant again.
Second, and he had a wedding renewal last year. That's
sure
what
did.
You're saying, right? Okay, so here are my thoughts. I think know yourself, right? If you are going to get married and you know that you're not going to be faithful, if you guys agree to be in a monogamous marriage, you're not going to be faithful, then you need to have a prenup. You need to have something that's going to protect your assets if you're going to decide to do that, because you are going to pay for it if you don't. And listen, the guy clearly does not learn his lessons very well. He's a great writer. Maybe he's not so great at thinking things through, right? Because he got the same woman pregnant twice while married. Once after the actual nuptials, and then again after or during a renewal, right? A renewal that was done, I think, publicly, right? I feel like the crystal was on a TV show or something. So I'm pretty sure that it was like part of her storyline on a TV show. Yeah, to me, I mean, look, it's his fault that he has to deal with that. I think $2 million is a lot of money. $10K per month, I don't know. I guess probably not too much for him. But I just think that, you know, you pay for your mistakes, and you get held, you're held responsible for the things that you do. So if you're gonna do that, just do that. Right?
We're talking about Neo, J. Ivy.
And there were some other questions too. Somebody asked you how many husbands before too on Instagram.
Oh, why you gotta do me like that? Now,
Masa, you realize that this is the whole premise of your channel, right?
I have been married and divorced 2 times. I was married to somebody who's still a friend of mine. We be friends and then we don't be friends, and then be friends again, then we be biffs again, and then we don't be. But in any event, my co-parent extraordinaire, he's an amazing father. That's husband number 1. Husband number 2, his mama's great. Love her to pieces. She's amazing. Shout out to Mama Maria. So husband number 2 is the Trini. Am I saying that Trini men should be thrown in the trash? No.
Come on.
No. Cannot throw an entire island of men in the trash. Do they need to be put in the recycle bin? Probably.
Recycle so that they come back better.
So they come back not Trini.
Something more useful.
More useful than Trini.
I'm just talking mess. I
Whether that be Guyanese, if they should come back like Venezuelan,
just the whole,
maybe Jamaican. I don't know. I
don't
know.
Just a better version of their Trini self.
Hey, listen. Do not recommend. Don't recommend.
Based on one person.
On one.
Well, it's not so much based on after I had done my research, because I like to do research after I've already
After the fact.
After I've done, like, why am I experiencing this thing? And then you just Google. Like, just people that know these things, they just put Trini, Nigerian men, Jamaican men. They're just at the top of the list of do not recommends.
Okay.
But listen, that was my own
Jess
experience.
said that her ex-husband's mom is Trini, and it wasn't well with them until they divorced.
Oh well,
I'm just reading the comments.
I love my Trini Mama Maria. So
she's actually my mother-in-law as well.
All of our.
I be joking like I got the mother-in-law without having to get married. She loves me so much.
She's my mother-in-law. Well, first of all, she don't love you so much.
She loves me so much.
Okay, well she.
But she was trying to act like she don't love me that much so as not to offend myself.
She's amazing. So yes, highly recommend Trini mother-in-laws. They make doubles. Saltfish and bakes.
Rum cake.
They make rum cake. Their sons, their dusty sons, probably a boy. Probably a boy.
Dusty sons.
Probably a boy.
Wow. Okay.
Probably a boy.
Okay, so clearly second marriage, not ideal.
Well,
right?
first marriage wasn't ideal.
Less than stellar.
First marriage wasn't ideal, but solid, co-parenting. Yeah, solid human being from a non-husband.
What's your point of
perspective? Well, because I wanted to get your thoughts on the Neo thing. I think we got off on a tangent. So the Neo perspective, your perspective on Neo and his two extramarital children.
I think that first of all, Neo. What somebody said it the other day, because we were talking about this in the group chat, and I said, you know how like back in the day we used to call dudes dogs. We just had basic words like, oh my god, he's a dog. I was like, dang, Neo's a good old fashioned dog. And somebody responded like, nothing I hate more than an unattractive dog.
An unattractive dog. Absolutely.
You got the nerve to be a dog, and your hairline also look like
that. It's not just the hairline.
Yeah, I said
it's the head.
Yeah.
It's not just the hairline.
Yep.
Because I firmly believe that even when his hairline was intact, his massive head was always offensive. And the nerve of you to have a head with that circumference.
Now, what I do have
to be having babies.
It writes good songs. That head writes good songs.
This is like a backwards. This is like a negativity sandwich.
Right. I gotta have his back. I gotta have his back.
The positive part is Neo. I mean, he has boxed for days. Excellent writer. Excellent writer. And because of all the money that he's made with these songs, he feels like he can do whatever he wants. And like I said, he can. But you will have to pay for it.
This is my thing. As your friendly,
so I don't feel bad that he has to write that $2 million check.
Child representative, guardian ad litem, attorney for minor children. This is my issue. Is that it's all fun and games for these men. Like when we say, well, as long as they can afford the kids, as long as it turns out kids need present fathers, not just dads who write checks. Kids need present fathers. That's the reason why in family law court, when you have, let's say, mothers who come in, right, custodial parents, and they come in, they say, you know what, he's not paying for these kids, I'm not going to let him see him. Judges are quick to tell you those are two separate yet equally important matters. You cannot mix and mingle. You cannot withhold children from seeing their father just because their dad is a bum and a deadbeat, right? Because kids just need present fathers more than they necessarily need money from fathers. And so what I would say to Neo is, it's not that it's okay. You just have to pay for the privilege. And you might end up, when you out of 7 kids, the chances of any couple of these children, 2, 3, 4 of these kids turning out to have serious daddy issues, which can manifest itself in many ways,
the bigger picture,
highly likely. Highly
just
likely.
Be prepared for like a good 2, 3 of them to just hate you completely, like, you know, just go off on the wrong path in life, because it's not just what you're doing to their mothers. Like, I don't know how many men have to fall to realize, like, when you are breaking up a family, like, you're actually taking these children down like a path that they don't necessarily need to go down, a path that God never intended for them to go down. So like, it may not, right now it's all fun and games because you Disneyland dad, because you still the dad who can break off $2 million and still keep it pushing. But it's going to come to a point where your children are old enough and they just recognize, on some principle.
Like, just like, you did my mama so wrong.
You did her dirty.
You did,
and you know the worst part, because as a petty person that I am, the thing that I hated the most was homegirl. First of all, the 2-time baby mama now has posted her official. She went did the hard launch on Instagram with the
hard launch
with the baby belly. She's like, she's big and pregnant. And then she was like, at first, you know, I didn't want to, you know, I didn't know if I should share my news, you know, especially at the expense of someone else's feelings.
It's now that you remember it.
But I have to choose myself.
You have to choose myself.
Thunder fire. But what I hated the most about that is, here go Neo liking the picture.
He did like the picture, publicly showing his support for.
He supported her bullshit, and everything that she said.
Yeah.
Everything that she's done. Her messing up his marriage. You liking this picture on Instagram is you co-signing all the chaos that this brought into your family's life.
He's not the greatest of decision makers.
It's like, so disrespectful.
Guys, there's some questions that are coming up on the Instagram live. I can't see them, and because there's people joining and stuff, it keeps going. Click on the pinned link so that you can actually ask your questions or make your comments on YouTube. I did see something on there. It went by quickly. So what's the topic? Okay. So I think it's, what's it say? Call Daddy, I think. The topic today is toxic relationships and costly divorces. That's basically what we're talking about. And happening in Africa and the diaspora today, specifically the diaspora. Again, we have 2 groups coming together. This is Peppeh Soup, the 2 lovely ladies here. And then, of course, Authentic African. And so we are live on their Instagram channel, and then we are live on mine, and then across a number of different platforms. I'm live on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and I'm not live on LinkedIn. This is not a LinkedIn discussion.
No, definitely not.
At all. So 2 things. Somebody mentioned on the Instagram live that it's not always the man's fault, and it's true. But in this particular case, regardless of the circumstance, he decided to
100% his fault.
To be intimate with someone.
That she stepped out on the marriage,
right?
She didn't pop up pregnant a couple times,
right?
You know?
So yeah, he chose to do the ultimate, throwing caution to the wind. We'll put it that way. You know,
big time.
Because okay, honestly, it's
yeah.
like, let's think about that.
Yeah,
you guys, the one thing that you look forward to doing when you're married is either shooting the club up or somebody shooting the club up, like just recklessness, because it's your husband.
Yeah, it's your husband. Like,
and we're gonna be together till we 90. So whatever you got, I got. Whatever I got, you got. Like, we in this thing.
Yeah.
Get in it. Get up in it.
Yeah.
So the nerve
to imagine that you were leaving our marital bed
to go shoot somebody else's club. I mean, you're coming back to my own marital bed. I mean, the dirty dirty, unmitigated, filthy gall of you. That's so filthy. It's so wrong. It's so wrong on so many levels. Like, it's so dangerous. It's so reckless. It's so disrespectful. The nerve of you.
Beyond anything.
The nerve of you. And then what I hate nothing more than a homewrecker. Kenya, no. I got a thing for homewreckers. Having had my home wrecked. Having had my home wrecked.
I was just going to say.
I have such a thing for homewreckers. The unmitigated all of you to come here and have a glam team come through and do a hard launch of your second extramarital affair child. How dare you? Girl, go crawl in a hole and pray about it.
No, she has to choose herself.
She's choosing herself. No, she's choosing a life of sin. And that's fine. That's fine. No, she is. She's choosing a life of sin. And that's fine. That's okay. It's all fun and games when you still cute on Instagram. What's not cute is like when Neo dogs you out and then you have to move on to the next man. And then you got to hope that the next man just doesn't care that you were somebody's jump off. And that you want the next man to raise these two babies that you had with somebody else's husband and act like that didn't happen. Like, it's all fun and games when you cute because she's super cute. She got a little body. She got a little face and all of that. Yeah, that's all good and well. So you got to explain to these two children how mommy used to be a bust down.
All right.
Don't fire you.
And there you go. All right. So I guess one last thing I'll say is, and then we can move on to the next one, is I'm of the belief that athletes, entertainers, people in that stratosphere, it's very difficult for them to maintain monogamy.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we see people doing it every day.
Well,
we do.
We at least see people not getting caught. We at least see people not getting caught. I don't know if we see them doing it every day.
No, I think there are people that we know that do it to the extent that they're not having 2-3 kids, right? He's been in the industry for much longer than little Neo. Like Lil Neo
been in the game for a minute.
Lil Neo been in the game for 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah, no, not even 15. He's been in the game for about 20 years.
Yeah.
But we've seen people who've been in it for 40 years. The Denzel and Paulette, Mr. and Mrs. Washington.
People always say Denzel.
Yes.
Because he's a great example.
Because not only is he a great example, but he's a sex symbol.
Yeah, at the same time.
Not only is he a great example, but
he's
also
not even a sex symbol.
You're not even my friend, your head is some kind of, it's not even a solid O. This your head.
We ain't even on you like
this
that.
This your face. This your height. My friend, you're big, yeah. So it's like, it's not even just that. Like, LL Cool J, another husband who was also a sex symbol. Just been out here just racking up the decades. Just been racking up the decades with his around the way girl.
Without. I
don't care what's happened behind closed doors. The thing is, marriages make it through infidelity.
Yeah.
Let me be very clear.
Yeah.
Any wife, because we as African women, what we believe is, na woman I get married. A marriage is not for a man. Like, men are not out here like praying for the day they get to walk down the aisle or whatever it is. Like, they're not out here like dreaming about their tuxedo. You dream about your tuxedo?
Actually envisioned your wedding day? Like,
I haven't envisioned my wedding.
Because I have a question. So who do you see walking towards you?
Well, that's the thing. I haven't
effort to fly Shotty out there at all.
Have we not learned anything from the Temptations, guys? I mean, have we not learned from Five Heartbeats?
Listen,
you can't just be out here going on tour, going from city to city, and hoes in different area codes trying to get at you, and your wife is back home in Georgia.
It's gonna be the hoes, or it's gonna be drugs.
Or alcohol, good old fashioned alcoholism. So you
just have drug.
But if your wife is there,
abusing it.
if you got fat there, and you and fat, she looking at you, you're looking at her. Like, then obviously it just eliminates a lot of the temptation. So when you say it's hard for them the way that they have their lifestyle.
No, I don't think he even said it was hard for them. It's like basically just been normalized though that they're not.
Which is
going to be
that's what upsets me.
Both. But I mean, I also say, like, what do you expect? Like, if you like, I mean,
that's the type of person that you're going after.
I mean, look, that's what I think. I mean, it's just more likely that they're not. First of all, especially as an athlete, right? There are structures, there are things set in place because like as a team. First of all, you guys have all heard of Guy Code, right? So now when we're talking about athletes, you have a brotherhood because first of all, especially like the football, like NFL, NBA, all of these professions, the total number of people who've actually ever done it is no more than like 4,000 people. So it's a very small fraternity of people, right? In terms of each individual sport, right? 4,000 or so in each individual sport in the lifetime of these sports as a professional. So you guys have this brotherhood, you have this world. And so of course they have systems in place to allow people to do things that
that's the thing though.
So
if it gets outside of this system, and has now come into the public view, now you're just
Instagram
embarrassing.
In Indiana, the nerve of the audacity.
And Joe kept saying,
okay,
like,
she said it so much.
Let's be clear.
Blueface is more popular.
I said, okay, let's be very clear.
They serve BabyFace segments.
And I also want to get to people's comments
Kenye,
and questions because I keep.
BabyFace,
Okay.
Edmonds.
Okay. So let's just be very clear. Just for all those who are listening who heard that I said that Blueface is more relevant than BabyFace. Be very clear. I know that if it wasn't for BabyFace, there is no LaFace Records, right? Because L.A. Reid and BabyFace. Clearly, I know that. I also know Boyz II Men, who was my favorite group in the 90s.
Okay.
Most of their songs were written by BabyFace. So to be very clear.
Okay, spit your
right?
history.
Okay.
So I just want to be clear on that because I was saying
we weren't sure because the way you just kept saying Blueface, as if I'm like this Blueface. If it wasn't for Shade Room, I wouldn't even know who he was.
I don't actually know what.
But
is he a musician? Is he a rapper?
He's a rapper.
I know him for Krishan.
Well, you used the word Tatiana earlier. Did you know? Somebody said it. Maybe.
I didn't use the word Tatiana.
Okay, if you ever heard of that.
Oh, that was him that sang the song Tatiana.
And you have the nerve and unmitigated gall to compare.
I did not compare.
Tatiana
I did not compare. I did not compare.
What Bobby Brown's greatest hits.
What I said. Tonight. Okay, before we get into these, though, there were a lot of comments, and I feel like we missed them. And
we definitely missed them.
And the YouTube keeps cutting off, so I really want to apologize.
Sorry,
Lenora, 24, Anne Marie, all of you guys who've been hanging out and still staying on the YouTube, even though it keeps going out. I'm sorry, but like a couple things that y'all said, we got to run through these really quickly because I do want to just recognize what you're saying. Did you catch everything your people are saying on your live too?
I think so.
Okay.
But,
so 24 asked if I was in Ghana or Sierra Leone. I am in Ghana right now.
You are a shadow on my beautiful chocolate melanin.
Okay,
yeah, that's much better, Joe.
My bad.
Joe.
My
Camera
bad.
hawk.
First it was man spreading. Now it's camera hogging.
You were. You're not anymore. Look at how he's
going to
straining.
gang up on
His knees are all close together. Oh, Joe.
This is not an easy situation.
This is how it's gonna be.
Oh, Lenore mentioned there are deadbeat mom as well, and that is very true.
Oh yeah,
that is very true.
Definitely.
I should I say this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I know a deadbeat mom.
I know a deadbeat mom when I see one.
Okay, I'll put it this way. It is very rare, and you can back me up on this, that a woman does not get custody of the children, right? Is that it's more
It used to be.
It's more likely. Let's say it's over 50% of the time, right?
The woman would have custody.
The woman would get custody of the child, right? I would imagine in the instances where men get custody, there has to be some glaring
it's not
issues.
always a deadbeat mom, though. Sometimes, listen, because there are.
I had an example, but I was trying not
to.
There
are deadbeat moms, but listen.
Okay.
Sometimes, say I as a daughter growing up with a mother.
Okay.
Say we had some sort of a toxic relationship or was strained, or we just never formed that bond where we had that mother-daughter love. So I never grew up innately learning how to be a loving mother. Yeah. But say I get grown, have a baby with a man who's great with kids. Maybe he has younger siblings, cousins, and them that loves kids, the type that just loves kids. I have a baby with him. And then we end up not being together. Sometimes, as someone who's like, let me not turn out to be a deadbeat mom, bruh, I beg, just take your picnic.
Sometimes it's that.
Take your picnic and go.
But like, to your point, yes. Okay, to the point of like what the collar.
Okay, now we got collars.
I know. Now
collars coming soon.
To what the collar was saying. Yes, absolutely, there are deadbeat moms. So please, anything I said about deadbeat dads, that's not in any way to besmirch like the fathers of this world. When I said deadbeat dads, I was actually talking about fathers who were deadbeats. I am actually I started my private career in private practice as a father's rights attorney, and the majority of my clients to this day are men. So I'm all here for fathers' rights. That's not what I'm talking about. When I say deadbeat dads, I'm actually talking about the dads who are bum ass deadbeats. Okay, all right. Literally. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying most men are. And Neo, I don't care how many checks he's writing. Out of these 6.5, 7 kids and counting that you are having. And we can go ahead and put Nick Cannon in that same category. I do not care how well regimented your schedule is, how much you try to split your time between this household and that household. A, you're always going to miss something. And B, don't think for a second that these kids are going to be on the same shenanigans the way that you are. For you, it's all funny.
They're not going to be on your time.
They're not going to be on your time.
Like, you know that.
They're not going to appreciate the way that you have made a spectacle of their family. That you have made a mockery of their mothers, they're not going to appreciate that. I'm not talking about the mamas who signed up for it. I'm talking about the Mariahs of the world.
Because at this point, it's just adults signing up for whatever kind of shenanigans.
Right. Children are different. Children are not necessarily going to be with the itch. Okay, that's all I'm saying. So as long as you're willing to sacrifice the happiness, the security, the mental health of 2, 3, 4 of them kids, feel free to keep on doing what you're doing. As for me, I'm mine. Yeah. I mean, I like to make sure that all of my children are taken care of, and I like to make sure that in doing so, I respect their fathers, and I show them respect in public and in private, in my home and to the world. That's all I'm saying.
Couple things really quickly. So, Lenora was saying, as a retiree in the Navy, she's seen some really unbelievable things. Yeah, I've heard about some crazy stories, military stories.
Ooh, child, we want to hear some of your stories.
I
want to hear some of them.
You want to hear an interesting one?
Yes.
I know a person who knows a person, this who is in an open marriage. This woman actually brought it on for the husband.
Okay.
What, she opened the marriage up?
She opened the marriage.
Okay.
And he went along with it.
He said, cool.
He said, cool. But the problem is that so he went along with it. So it wasn't as if they were lying to each other. The problem is, when he wanted to do stuff, she had to go along with it. Whoever, they were couple swap. So sometimes he'd like a woman, she didn't like the man, and she'd just go along with it for him.
Okay.
Right?
Ugh.
Right?
That's
okay.
Disgusting.
Now, here, this is not specific to the military, but this was just interesting. Then she found someone that she liked. He didn't like.
And he didn't want to go along with it.
He didn't want to go along with it. He didn't want to go along with it.
Yeah, right.
And you know what?
What happened? She did it anyway.
She did it anyway. No. Now he's trying to get her to divorce. But here's the thing. She's now lost interest in her husband because he kept bothering her. It was just crazy. He was becoming overpossessive and crazy about this new guy. And she's losing interest in the new guy because the new guy was trying to make her leave her husband, and now she's lost interest in both of them.
So she about to just go
and she visited another country and met some other guy.
Here we go.
Fantastic.
I like this
that other guy changed her life.
Wow.
In ways that I don't get into many details here, but basically in intimate ways. And now she's deciding she no longer wants to be married or with the other guy back home.
She wants the new thing.
Wow.
She's on vacation and she wants the new thing.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's pretty crazy. I just learned about this story.
Wow.
It's a developing story.
It's developing.
As we're talking. It's a developing story.
So anyway, I will say this to the point that you asked, like whether or not like it's more likely that a woman is going to get the children in a divorce or separation. My answer to that is always no. It's not that it's more like in this day and age. I'm not talking about what it used to be. In this day and age, it's not that it's more likely that a woman is going to get the children in divorce. It's just more likely that the status quo will be maintained after divorce. And what generally happens is when two people break up, when the lease is up, or somebody finds out about the cheating, or the phone gets open and we see the Facebook messages, the Instagram or whatever, it's normally the man who gets put out, and he actually, with his uninformed behind, who did not talk to an attorney, actually lets himself get put out, the marital residence, right? So it's normally the man who gets put out, or the woman who storms off with the kids and takes the kids. That's how it normally happens. So if that is the status quo before you go to court, then that is what is likely to be maintained. What is very unusual is for wife to storm off with the kids and for husband to
that's why normally, so myself, you had somebody that came in like, you know, we got in a fight and I left, and it's a man, you're like, get your tail back in that house.
Well, you used to be the manager of my law firm.
Get back in that house right
now.
Who
sent you? So you yourself, you did not leave the house. No, you didn't. What you did is you went to go cool off. Have you cooled off for 4 months? No problem. My friend, you've cooled off. Go back. There's no order that says you're out of the house.
Because the judge is gonna be like, oh, so you don't want to be there.
Go back in the house.
You don't want your kids.
Go back in the house. Go back in the house. I don't care if you've been gone for 90 days. I don't care if she changed the locks. There is no order. No sheriff put you out. No judge said you can't live there. Go back to the house, and then we'll start talking about custody. We will not file that first motion for custody until you are back in your house. So that's all I'm saying. It's just that children generally stay with their mother, which is why it's just very important to like honor their mothers, right? Because what you don't want is for children to have to make a choice.
There you go.
Most of the time when they make a choice, if they're not choosing their mom, then she is a deadbeat mom. Most of the time. Of the time.
Okay.
Because most of the time they are choosing her because it's like, well, mom's gonna feed me and like.
I mean, she's the one who's normally over here cutting the cusp off my sandwiches. Mom knows that I don't like broccoli. Dad's over here always trying to make me eat. Like, so the thing is, most of the time, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not that women have to be deadbeats to lose their kids. It's just that most of the time when things break down, they're the ones who like walk off with the kids or storm off or go to their mom's house or go to their sister's house with the kids, or the ones that put their husband out and like, or boyfriend out, and boyfriend actually goes. That's all. That's what normally happens.
So, okay. Or were we still on BabyFace?
We did.
BabyFace. We never actually got to BabyFace.
So $37K a month.
37.
Okay. So now I want to ask you. I want to ask you about this because I know some people who have who are getting child support payments. And the way it's been described to me is it's basically a percentage of your income, right?
Yes.
Okay, so how do they determine your income? Like what goes into that? Because 30. Okay, I feel like what was part. Okay, you know.
First of all, that's how much this is.
Okay.
Say it for the callers.
$444,000 per year.
Sign me up for that. For 9 months of work,
$444,000 a
18
year.
years of child rearing.
Okay,
$444,000 a year.
So I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. Okay, so for you as the expert, what's the word?
The lawyer.
The lawyer.
For me as
you as a lawyer.
attorney.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's a percentage of your income, but I also understood it to be that they're supposed to be able to maintain their lifestyle. Can you talk us through that? Because how do you get to $37,000 a month in child support and spousal support?
There's a time limit on the lives on Instagram, huh?
There is.
I think so. Wasn't there like after
there was something?
I'm still alive.
But you're still going.
I'm still alive on IG.
But ours is stopped.
Okay. There was something about Instagram. I can't remember.
It was a time.
In any event. Okay. So Joe, you actually are commingling two different things.
Okay.
So first of all, I can only speak to Illinois. That is where I am licensed. We do have offices in Houston. I do not practice family law in Houston. I'm the boss, owner, CEO, founder. Anyway, that being said, in Illinois, where we have maintenance, formerly known as alimony, it's not so much that you're maintaining the standard, right? That's our big thing. I need to maintain the standard of living. He needs to maintain my standard to which I become accustomed. No, we use a calculator, right? We use a software, we use a calculator, and we just put in, into the calculator, the inputs are the years and length of marriage. You would be surprised to learn that even if you've been married for less than 5 years, even if you've only been married for a couple of years, you can still, depending on the circumstances, catch the right judge on the right day with the right set of circumstances, you can still get maintenance, or what we call alimony. So in any event, we put in the length of marriage and the two incomes, the relative incomes between husband and wife, or between the two spouses, I should say. And the longer you've been married, the higher your income, the higher your maintenance for the longer period of time. Okay? So more income, longer marriage equals higher maintenance for the longer period of time. Shorter marriage, lower income equals less income or less maintenance for a shorter period of time. In Illinois, when you get to 20 years of marriage, it's maintenance for a lifetime. Till I die, or until you die, till death do I part with this.
So for those men who I wouldn't even say men, because some women like to take care of men as well. So vice versa. For you who just be pressed to take care of people, and you bring them into a relationship, and you're just there being the one. It's okay. He doesn't work. He's had a hard time finding a job. Years and years go by.
He needs to follow his passion.
And you decided that you weren't gonna marry for money. You were gonna marry for love. And then that didn't work out.
Just know.
Depending on how long that went on, you might have to take care of him for some time longer.
I'm in the market for that.
Are you in the market for that?
I'm kidding, but not really.
I always want to, because
I'm kidding, but not really. I mean, obviously I work.
Just
I'm doing my thing, but of course, who wouldn't want something?
I have man, those are the hardest cases. I'm sorry, that's my thing. My, I don't judge. It's complete no judge zone. But the hardest cases I have to deal with are the ones where I got to tell sus, sus, you about to write several checks over the span of the next, 13.6 years.
Imagine not being with somebody anymore, and it's gonna hurt you more late, 6 years later. When it's at first it's you're used to being with them, and then it's one day you just minding your business. You got a whole new life, and then you gotta write that check
to somebody's dusty. There is nothing. I hate handling those cases where I gotta tell sis, sis, I realize that you're an executive VP. I realize that you are, the founder of this 7-figure business. I realize that you have struggled, and this man has gone from, trash collection job to trash collection job. I get that, but you let that go on for so long, and now you're gonna have to pay for your freedom. That's hard. It's also hard when I represent men who, who's notorious for this? Cops and firefighters. It's something about their personalities that just attracts stay-at-home wives. It's something about their personalities that just attracts women who want to just be taken care of by cops and firefighters. And then cops and firefighters cannot wrap their brains. They cannot wrap their first responder brains around the fact that they're putting their lives on the line every day for years, building up their pensions, getting their salaries up to the 6 figures with overtime. And they're going to have to split not only their incomes, but they're going to have to split their hard-earned pensions with their wives. I don't know what to tell you. Listen, if you feel like your spouse is not contributing financially to the marriage, don't let that linger. Don't let that go on. You know that you can break up with people and still live with them, right? There's no law against that. Yeah. It's the marriage part that will get you caught up in a lifetime worth of maintenance or alimony, spousal support. So anyway, going back to BabyFace and Nicole.
He's worth $200 million.
Of course he's worth $200 million. That's what I'm saying. There's levels to this thing. For sis, little sis, Neo's wife, Crystal Renee, to get her little $2 million, to get her little $12,000 a month to shop for 3 whole kids. That's
12,000.
Yeah, get your little 12,000, girl. That's wonderful for you. BabyFace's ex-wife is getting $444,000 a year. And that's only going to increase over time because that's how royalties work, number one. Number two, because as time goes on and he earns more money and the children get older and the needs of the children continues to increase, she's just going to continue to get more money. It will end, obviously, the majority of it will end. First of all, whenever her cap on maintenance is, I don't know what it is in whatever state they live in, but whenever that maintenance is up, it's up. And when the children turn 18, it's over. But until then, sis is set up. She's set up. She's set up.
Let me just include some of the other fees that are included, because this is the other thing I didn't think about. So obviously it's the $37,000 per month in spousal support as well as child support. So both, it's included in one. He also has to pay the insurance on the Escalade.
Yeah.
He's got to get around.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
Of course, he also private school tuition and health insurance as well.
Because BabyFace kids got to go to private school.
Of course they do.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And he's 64. Imagine being 64, having baby mama drama. That's my thing. It's like, listen, when you see the writing on the wall, get out. Just get out. I say that to people sometimes. Like, sometimes people come to me and I'm not pushing them into a divorce. I always say it's not my job to encourage you to get a divorce. But if you know that it's not working out, if you know that no matter what you do, bruh's not going to get a job, sis is going to keep on going from one low-paying job to another, and you are financially carrying everything, and you don't want that, like, cut your losses. Cut your losses. Because I've represented many 70-year-olds, 60-year-olds. I've represented some 80-year-olds. I've represented a woman who got wheeled in a wheelchair by her adult children because they wanted to make sure that she got formally divorced from from her decades-long estranged spouse before she died, so that they would be able to inherit from her, and not, their dad who, hasn't seen their mother in like the last 20 years. Wow. Like, marriage is a contract. It's a contract not just like between each other, but it's a contract with the law, with the state. If you know that things aren't going in the right direction, you need to get out. Officially, formally end it. That's all I'll say. But in the meantime, if you're a millionaire and you're getting married and you have not fixed out your hand to meet with a divorce attorney to get a prenup, you deserve to pay whatever it is the judge tells you to pay. You deserve it. At this point, it's what you wanted.
At this point, why? Like, it shouldn't even be a discussion.
It's what you wanted.
So let me ask you guys something. If your friend comes to you and says to you, he wants me to sign a prenup, it's like he's already saying we're not going to be married forever.
No.
What do you say to this woman?
A family law attorney, so like she's gonna actually give you the breakdown. I must say,
but I want to hear your answer on this.
If she said that to me,
because I've always thought about prenups, but all my female friends look at me like I'm crazy, and they always.
It's not. I don't know why people think like that.
Okay, well let me hear yours, and then we'll go.
Yeah,
if somebody came to me and said he wants me to marry or sign a prenup,
yeah,
and I would be like, how much money does he make? Okay, he makes what? $500,000 a year, and sis, love you. How much money are you making? About maybe
35,
40, because you just got. I remember you got there. Right?
You said, remember you got that.
I got that. You got that.
You at 41.5.
Now, sis. And I like to talk things out. So I would be like, okay, so if the tables were turned,
right,
and you were making significantly way more money, you had more investments and you had assets and all of that, and he was working minimum wage.
Yeah.
Would you not want him to sign a prenup? It's not personal. It's literally the epitome of this is not personal. I just need my things if this does not work out. If it doesn't work out, because if you're not considering that it may not work out, I feel like you're not being realistic. Marriages, the majority of them, I'd say at this point, are not working out. So who are you to think that like, oh, no, it's going to be different for me? You can hope, you can pray, but chances are it might be the same. So I'm not gonna diss a man. Like if my girl comes to me and be like, oh, you want to, girl, I'm sure he do. What you gonna do though? I was like, I'm not gonna encourage her to sign it or not sign it. What you gonna do? But I mean, yeah, he probably do want a prenup. He got money.
Okay.
My thing is, not only am I an advocate for prenups, I insist on them. Like if I have a friend, I've had a couple of friends get married. I'm just like, girl, you got a prenup, right? I mean, like most of like my friends outside of my family are obviously going to be attorneys. I'm like, girl, you do got a prenup, right? Like, you need me to do that for you? That's my wedding present. That's the thing I offer now. Like to people who I'm really close to, I offer prenups like as my wedding present. I'm not going, am I going to Macy's to get this thing off your registry? First of all, I don't even open your registries. That's number first and foremost, and I'm African. But like, will I give you a ironclad prenup? I surely will.
I like that.
Ironclad. I've never had a prenup. Like I've never had a prenup like thrown out of court. Like this is the thing. People talk about it like being like, oh, you have to have money. You have to have money. No, all you have to have is potential. Prenups, the best time to get them signed and get them executed are when you guys have nothing, but you have potential. Because again, like Kenye said, if 50% of marriages at least are ending in divorce, and it's substantially high, I want to say it's like 70 or 80% divorce rate for second marriages, then again, think about those bets. Like if you were in Vegas and you had to like shoot craps or whatever it is that people do, right? Like roulette or whatever. Like think about that. 50% odds or on second or third marriages, 70, 80% odds. Like just get a prenup, because what if things don't go right?
They don't.
Prenups don't just cover like payments for spousal support. You know, another thing that hurts is for you to be divorcing somebody's dusty son and then you have to pay their attorney's fees. Boy, don't that, when people got to pay attorney's fees, I've had clients who like are the higher earning people and they're the aggrieved spouse in a situation and they got to pay that harlot's attorney's fees. And there's nothing I can do for them. There's nothing I can do. Like if you had a prenup that already defined the fact that no matter what, any money that I earn with my paychecks that goes into a bank account that has my social security number on it is my money forever, right? You got a business. Even if all you have right now is the EIN, you've never even filed taxes. You never made more than $10,000 in this business, but it has potential. You hoping, you praying, you're manifesting that one day it's a 7-figure business. Now imagine you getting divorced from somebody's dusty son or raggedy daughter, and at the time when your business is now 7 figures because you've clawed and you've worked hard to get it to 7 figures, and then you got to give them a part of your cut because you didn't get a prenup because at the time it wasn't a functional business, or because at the time like you hadn't really like gotten into your stride with your business. Prenups are for everybody.
I think people just gotta be. People just have to be realistic. People have to be realistic. At the end of the day, being in love and being a couple is cute. It's fantastic. You love it. But at the end of the day, we're all here as individuals. And humans. Look out for yourself.
Also, prenups. Oh my gosh. Please, you guys, PSA. If you have children from another relationship, you must get a prenup. Why? Because when you die, who is your next of kin? It's your wife. It's your husband. And if your wife and your husband is not the mother or the father of your children, what's going to happen to your kids?
Left out in the cold.
They just left out in the cold, and you're hoping that their stepmom or their stepdad has a heart. You guys, prenups, key.
Okay, so yeah.
Also, postnups. If you find out that your husband has been out there raw dogging and having babies on you, and you still want to stay married because you believe that Jesus is going to work it out, get a postnup.
If you let him.
Get a postnup. And give him some incentive to get himself together. Give her some incentive to pull herself together. Get a postnup. Yeah. Anyway, that's all I'll say about that. But BabyFace, love it.
Yeah. When he cheats and he comes back crying, you'll be like, oh, that's fine. Like I'm chilling. Sign right here, real quick.
Actually, just gone to an attorney.
If you could just right quick.
Real quick, say sorry with your signature. Say sorry with your signature. Yeah. So BabyFace, shout out to you. You on at least a second divorce. You out here just writing checks. My God.
$37,000 per month.
That's a big one.
I think a
whammy.
What is the average income of an American right now? I think it's
average income of an American.
I think yearly it's around that amount.
37,000.
I think yearly it's within 15K of that amount, right?
Yeah.
Like yearly.
Yearly, average
so he's paying that
45,000.
monthly, and
I said a month. Yeah, yearly.
Woof. Yeah. Okay.
Anyway.
So that's BabyFace. 37K per month. That is quite a substantial amount, but he got money. It's all good.
It's not cheating if you got it.
So we got 2 more topics to cover. We're going to cover them quickly. So this Blueface discussion.
Child.
So I wanted us to talk about this because I've been following this relationship for quite some time. And there's a number of different elements to this relationship that we can talk about. So Blueface has recently, he's launched a TV show, I think on the Zeus's network, called Crazy in Love. It's a great title. For all of you who are not aware, one of the producers or executive producers of the show is a young lady named Natalie Nunn, who was on Bad Girls Club. So she knows toxic relationships, friendships, and fights, right? And she's one of the producers on this. And this has been chronicling their fights. So a lot of their fights, you guys have been seeing videos and pictures and things of that sort on the internet. She's punched him a couple times. He's apparently held her down, lost some deals. He's losing out on money. He hasn't actually recorded much music or put any real music out since being with her. But apparently they get a lot of like club appearances. They're on a press tour right now. It is said that she is pregnant. He has said that it's not his.
Why?
He also said that she has 10 confirmed partners last year. According to him,
I don't believe
she has 10 confirmed partners last year. Now, he said he's not going to claim that it's his child until he does a DNA test. It's not his child. This is probably like the definition of a toxic relationship.
Everything
right?
about it.
They fight physically. They're always inebriated. Constantly.
Manipulation is
manipulative. In every interview I've seen about 3 or 4. It ends in an argument on the interview. She has 4 tattoos of his face, and at least 1 or 2 of his name on her body. This level of like, I don't know if I'll call it codependency or what it is. But I've never seen anything like it. I've seen toxic relationships. I've never seen anything to this degree. I know she's also tying her personal success to him. I think that has a lot to do with it, right? I heard a former pimp actually say this. He thinks that she's been fighting all her life. He interviewed her. His name is Sharp. He interviewed her and he said she's been fighting all her life, and the way she feels like you love her is if you fight for her the way she fights for you, and that's what she wants, Blueface. And maybe that's what she doesn't always feel. That I'll mention, and then I'll turn it over to you guys to give your thoughts. One, there was a weekend about 6 months ago that he spent with one of his children's mothers, and that night she did a video of them in the bed because the 2 of them are not the child's mother and Krishan they don't get along. Krishan then posted a video on Twitter the next day of her and Blueface being intimate, because that's how she one-ups her from being in the bed the night before. The next day or 2 days later, post a video on Twitter of them being intimate. And then one other thing I want to add is that Blueface and her father got into a physical altercation while filming the show, and apparently he knocked out her father. But from the footage, the family was pressing him, and the brother of Krishan actually kind of put the battery in the dad's back, and the dad stepped to Blueface, actually swung at him first, and then Blueface apparently knocked out her father. And Krishan also punched Blueface's mother as well.
Correct.
So there's been a lot going on in that relationship. All of that's happening. The reason why we're talking about this is we're talking about costly breakups and toxic relationships, and they just apparently are broken up because she's pregnant, and he does not want to father a child with her, it looks like. And he's saying she's been with 10 men last year.
Niggas be saying stuff when they mad.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
At what point? Because the only place I've seen her is up inside his butt crack.
But you know, he's been with other people when she's not there. What is she doing when he's not around?
Oh, come on.
Child, please. Obsessing over him.
Excessive.
Yes.
I mean, Blueface,
obsessing over him and like blowing his phone up. How does she have time to blow his phone up and obsess over him and his baby mama and also
have sex with 10 people?
10.
Honestly, I don't know anything about it, but I don't believe that. He playing with her. Like, so and that's the thing. I don't like. First of all, I'm not entertained. I don't find it amusing. It's not cute. It's dangerous just from a safety perspective. Yeah. It puts me on edge. Domestic abuse is not a joke.
Right.
And it's not something, I don't know how we've become a society that we just put this stuff on TV for entertainment when these are real people's lives. Because I'm not going to call anybody's account. These accounts and these blogs are going to be the same ones putting doves and clouds around these people when something happens.
Wings, angel wings.
Wings.
Angels.
Yeah. When something finally happens, but when it was leading up to it and escalating and the writing was on the wall.
Yeah.
Everybody was just like, kiki. There's nothing funny about it. I'm not amused. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
To be clear, I will say, I'll give the major network something. None of them decided to pick up the show.
Why would
not even TLC, not even
toxicity and abuse? Why would they put that on? And that's why it's only us. It's only us that promotes this image. Like, of all the things you could be putting on the big screen, you're putting this.
Yeah.
And they called it Crazy in Love.
So I'll say this. I echo everything that Kenye has said. I was a domestic violence prosecutor for years. I chose to be in the domestic violence unit. It's one of the toughest units to be in any prosecutor's office because the victims are fickle, right? Because the victims are always ruining your case, right? Like, you go out there, the police are putting their lives on the line. Domestic violence calls are the deadliest calls. Like, they would rather you tell them there's a Unabomber, right? Than say they're getting called out for a domestic battery, 911 call. But truly, like, they're the deadliest calls for law enforcement, and they're the hardest cases many times to prove for a prosecutor because of the cycle of violence and the toxicity and the codependence between victims and abusers. And what I will say in this situation, I'm not saying that he's blameless. Certainly he is not. The person that I am scared of, the one that really worries me, the one who seems particularly unhinged, like she will kill this ninja and we will be putting doves and angels and clouds on our Instagrams for him.
Yeah.
Is Krishan Rock. That girl is dangerous in this particular relationship. And what makes me sad is that we're all seeing this play out and it's entertainment for, like you said, for these blogs.
I don't like that at all.
And we're ignoring the fact that this is like an ongoing cycle of violence, like ongoing criminal activity that we've all been witness to.
We've been witness, yeah.
We've all been,
and that's why.
So when it has a natural conclusion, because the natural conclusion is only one or two ways that this ends.
Say it.
With one of them dying, probably him, because again, sis scares the mess out of me, and women are violent.
Anybody that's walking around,
they pick up weapons
with your whole front tooth is missing because of whatever y'all had going on.
Foolishness.
And then you just said, forget, I'm walking around like this. I don't care.
Just so y'all know I'm a thug.
Yeah.
So you know I'm
care.
About it.
And insisting on that's when you knew, sis.
She's not all she's gone. She's like, it's an ongoing cycle of violence, like right before our very eyes. And it scares me. It scares me because like Kenye said, people actually die from domestic violence. They die every day. And she'll be so remorseful, she'll be so regretful, and she'll find Jesus in prison and all of that, but he will be just as dead. And his children be just as fatherless. Right. And then the blogs will move on and she'll still be in prison and he'll still be dead. Like, what really gets me is that there's only two ways for this to end. And that's for her to clean herself completely up. He needs to clean himself up too. But for her to clean herself completely up and leave him alone, or one of them might end up in a casket. And it's heading that way as far as I can tell. Like, it's not good.
It's violent. Family,
it's not good.
Fighting parents.
Can you imagine?
Disrespect. It's bad. I mean, it's really bad. And I just cannot believe that this is what we're really consuming as a people.
Yes. Like, and like what makes me particularly sad about their situation is now they're reality stars, right? So now they're the people that get paid to go to clubs and they're making these appearances and that's how they're making their money. But when you look at both of their biographies, again, when we talk about like the importance of parents and having intact families, not necessarily like an intact mother and father who are together no matter what, but just peace in a home, having a sober, literally sober, figuratively and literally speaking, like upbringing, like a sober household. Like, it matters so much because people come from dysfunction, they just seek dysfunction. That's what your little pimp therapist was saying.
Well, look at this.
It's true.
And I think he called it right because look at this, look at this headline.
She, like, when you think about that, like, she was a track runner. Bruh, I want to say that he was an amateur boxer. So we're talking about prime athletes. He was an amateur boxer. I don't think that's what he went to He went to
No, he
college
played
on a
football.
scholarship.
He played football.
But he was also an amateur boxer.
Well, he started boxing now.
But he played football. I want to say he played football and he was in the marching band. You guys think about that. Blueface, Crippin. You were in the marching band. That says so much about who you were as a boy.
It says a lot.
It says so much about who you were as a boy. And his football scholarship took him to college. Her track scholarship took her to college.
And you know what? People talk a lot about
today.
his mom being vocal on Instagram about, when they have fights. But at the end of the day, that's her child. And she invested a lot in that boy. And for her as a mom to see your son just getting rubbished and foolished by this girl, and he's, again, not innocent, he's participating, but to see a girl and that for a fact she's abusing your child, even though it's a boy, she's abusing your child. How can you not say something about it? Like, how would you not say something about it every chance you get?
Absolutely. You got to say something before something really bad happens.
Before something happens.
Yeah. No, it's sad.
Let people know your
my other thing is, I now, granted, I don't drink. I've never had a beer in my life. I get high off of life. I get contact high, as I like to say. So I'm a good time in the club. Maybe some of you think you've seen me drunk. You have never seen me under the influence of not a drop of alcohol. Like, I don't drink or I don't smoke. So I understand that my tolerance, like, for all of this is much lower than the average adult American. But this level of high, this level of drunkenness,
it's not normal.
This chronic alcoholism that we're seeing at their age. This also makes me so sad. Because top athletes, they're not out here giving football scholarships to every jick and jack. A track scholarship, sis, you went from being a track scholarship scholar to chasing after Blueface with your tooth missing. This your tooth out. This your tooth is missing. It's sad.
It is sad.
For me, it's a cautionary tale about drugs, about alcohol, and about domestic violence. And I hope that we don't have to find out the hard way, which is how most domestic
You guys, how else would it end if it's not only happening, but imagine the whole world encouraging this toxicity.
Yeah.
Right.
You're almost actually just adding fuel to the fire. Like, let's see what's going to happen next. What's going to happen next? Again, the next thing you're going to see is the damn doves in the clouds. And then it's like RIP, and then we move on to the next thing. Now we don't have any to entertain us anymore. So next, that's not cute. I don't like it. I stand against it. I'm here to say that.
Well, it looks like the pregnancy broke them up.
Whatever.
So hopefully they decide to go their separate ways.
I hate that there's a child being brought into this.
Can
toxicity.
you imagine?
I mean,
can you imagine? It's
that
so
child
sad.
doesn't. The child deserves better.
It's so sad.
This headline from Fox Baltimore said how Baltimore track runner overcame abuse, homelessness, and to achieve game show stardom.
Sprinted right into more abuse.
Yeah. So she won this game show that was like going viral, and then after that, she went on Blueface's own version of Bad Girls Club. She was on the first.
Oh, you know what I was about to say?
Yeah.
It's related to how like society is like glorifying certain things now. Before, like when we were in school, like it wasn't that long ago, right? Back in the day, there were like levels to like the students in school, right? You had like your advanced students.
Yeah.
You had your average students. Then you had students who were a little
shop class
below average. Then you had like learning disability students, right?
Sure.
And then there's like gray areas in between all of those. Your status like as a student would kind of like people would be like, oh, she was always in AP class. Like we always knew she'd be a star. We always knew that person was going somewhere.
Yeah.
The people who are the stars now, okay? We're coming down from AP. We're coming down from like advanced.
Wow.
We're coming back from they're the ones that are between
slow
and
you
have a couple normal black classes, then you got to go back to your hall in the back hallway.
You're in the back hallway.
These are the ones who are now the stars.
I was in remedial reading.
They're the musicians. You have a reading issue, Joe. We realize
you
that.
have a reading issue.
We get it.
That's not who we talking
That's
about.
not what we're
you
talking
went in the
about
back hallway.
You're a pretty.
Do you know who's in the remedial reading class with me?
Joe. This is not about you.
Listen,
do you understand what I'm saying?
So, yes.
Okay, exactly. Do I know who was in the remedial class with you? These are the people that I'm talking about.
Okay, fair.
These are the ones I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They're now the celebrities. They're now the ones that people are giving mics. We're getting opinions from them. We're getting we're getting too much.
And our children are looking up.
And our children are looking up to them as because they're like, well, they're on TV, like they're being interviewed, they're stars, they're making the money.
They're rich. Man, it's sad. Anyway, so Krishan, like literally, I've never seen a more toxic like relationship on television. This in particular, look at her. Look how beautiful she was.
She was a gorgeous girl.
She
still is a gorgeous girl, but the alcohol and the drugs are showing on the girl's face, and I hate that for her. I hate it for her.
All puffy.
Yeah.
Like she's just healthy. Bloated.
It's not healthy.
Her face is just absolutely like
she's not healthy anymore. As somebody who was an athlete, a prime athlete,
I don't know what her eyes look like normally. You know, like on a normal, because I've never seen her not high, so I don't know what her like her eyes naturally look like. I've only seen them like this.
Oh, she was so cute. Anyway, I really want them to break up. If you ask me, I want them to go their separate
I want them
ways.
to break up so bad. I want them to break up yesterday. Listen, you got, and this is the other thing that I tell people: just because you have a
it's somebody that's related to
I think that's
her mom.
They look alike.
Anyway, what I'll say is like, just because you have a baby with somebody, don't think that you're doing these children any favors by just staying in a toxic relationship. You're not. All you're doing is raising another Krishan. You just raising another Blueface to go out and terrorize somebody else. All you're doing is going out, raising another person who's going to go out and terrorize somebody else's son or daughter. Like seriously, if you know that things aren't healthy, and you know that your children are constantly exposed to domestic violence, they're constantly exposed to like fighting, the name calling, the demoralizing, demeaning, like, you know, language and conversations, get out.
Get out of that.
Get out of there. If you think that you are, it's better. Like if you're weighing like the positives and negatives, like being a single parent versus like, at least they have a dad in the household, at least they have a mom in the household. My friend, would you get out of there? Now I can only speak for me. My children are blissfully happy. Blissfully happy. I cannot even imagine, because Kenye was there for marriage number 2. I cannot even imagine who my girls would be if they were old enough.
Especially the older one. She's naturally like a very sweet spirit. Yes. So I just imagine her being in that type of environment, how that would have really affected who she is as a person. But now in the space that MASAH's created, like, okay, if it's just gonna be us, it's just gonna be us, and then created a healthy environment with just them.
She's so blissful.
She's able to just flourish as just a sweetheart. She is
a sweet person. I can't imagine what that would have been like if they had been old enough to see what, God bless them, what their father was putting me through.
Listen, 24, she might. Somebody, if I asked a woman to marry me and she asked for a prenuptial, I'd be insulted. She thinks she has more money than me.
Might she have more money than you?
She might have
and
more
even
money
if she doesn't have more money than you,
might
she have more potential than you?
Remember who 24 was been, who's been hanging out with, what he likes. Remember?
24 sound like he stashed the money somewhere also.
The question that we were saying.
Who asked about the tourism?
Wasn't he also the one that was at East End partying?
Yeah, he's partying.
You were partying in East End.
Partying in East End. He had a lot of fun at Radisson Blue.
Is he American and he went to Sierra Leone?
Yeah, well, I think he's Sierra Leonean descent, I think. But
Sierra Leonean descent, and he was partying on East End.
Yeah.
Ah, God, this guy.
Okay, and then Sick Lion had one too.
Don't be offended. Sis is smart.
So like sometimes it just is what it is. Somebody has to make more money than the other person, and sometimes it's the woman, sometimes it's the man.
Again,
it is what it is.
Cannot stress it enough. Even if it's not about the money, please, for the love of Jesus, for the love of your children.
If you believe in yourself.
A, if you believe in yourself, but B, if you have children from another relationship.
If you have children, yeah, that's important.
Be smart. Be smart. Don't be a dummy. Don't set your kids up for failure.
It's a prenuptial agreement, meaning that you agree. You put, so don't be offended if like somebody asks you to sign up. Be like, okay, bet we make an agreement. Let me also put my own in there. Like I have to agree. This is an agreement. So, okay. And if I happen to become a millionaire within the course of this marriage and we divorce, like, let's talk about what we're doing with that. So it's nothing to be offended about because the other person brings it up. Like, okay, what do you want to agree on then?
Yeah.
There it
People got to grow up, y'all.
There it is.
That's the bottom line.
Sick Lion asked an interesting question that I didn't think would come up. So don't you think any African country that adopts the U.S. laws will be developed within a shortest possible time?
No. Which U.S. laws are we talking about?
I don't know if we're talking about prenuptials or what.
I'm not sure. When you say...
Don't you think any African country that adopts the U.S. laws will be developed within a shorter possible time?
Why? Because a lot of them do anyway, right?
First of all, the laws are not our issue. It's the implementation and the enforcement of the laws. It's corruption. That's our issue.
Yeah.
Corruption is our problem in Africa. It's not.
Yeah, there are laws.
Cannabis prohibition is a law that was adopted from the U.S. that everybody else adopted. So it doesn't necessarily need to push them forward. Yeah. That's an interesting question, though. Not what I would think for this live.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Okay, here's a good one. So Anthony says nope. That's Anthony's response. Wow. Okay. Anthony Clemenson says, do you guys believe monogamous relationships are natural? And if so, under what conditions?
I believe that it's natural for some people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like people to keep it. That's why I was like, Joe, ideally, that's why I was pressing Joe, like, no, for real. Ideally, if we're saying ideally.
We lost the YouTube during that point.
Would it be okay? Because he said ideally he'll, he would be in a monogamous relationship. And I'm like, Joe, for real. Ideally, like to me, to you. Would it be monogamous? And then his answer changed a little bit.
It did.
Because you have to know yourself.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't have that energy to be out chasing that thing all the time. Like everybody isn't naturally prone to do that. Even
We're not
men,
saying that you are.
There are some men who just literally, they do just want to be at the crib, like rubbing their feet together, like watching the game. It's not all the time that they want to be running after it. Some women are like that, and some people find each other and they're like that together, and they have a great time at home doing what people do at home. There are some people who just keep their eye to the street.
That's it. Always looking.
They're always looking for the next thing. If you know that it is you, keep it real. That's you. So don't come and now say, "Oh, I met this girl. She's amazing. Let me act like I'm about to be all about her and her alone for the rest of my life." When I know I'm this person all the time. Keep it real.
When you say, okay, first of all, you also have to recognize who you're asking this question to, Anthony Clemenson. You are asking these questions to Chief Bemba, whose father and grandfather, they were of the ruling house of Hotsagwa. You're also asking this question.
The one who took the chieftaincy from us, the Forays.
The one who took the chieftaincy from the Forays. Okay. We found out after we met, that we're like distant cousins, like for real. Mm-hmm. Like on his Mende father's side. We don't know about the Creole, side, but the Mende father's side. So you're talking to Mende people. And if you Google the Mende people, in addition to telling
polygamy is right in there.
In addition to telling you that we are, well, our women are spectacularly beautiful, they'll also tell you in the intro, in the preamble,
polygamy is
that we are polygamous.
Normal part.
We're into polygamy. So like for us, like if you ask like anybody under the age of 40, like, do I think that like polygamy is natural or whatever, monogamy is natural? Well, I mean, it's not for me, but is it natural? Like, yeah, sure, you could be monogamous. You can also just as easily be polygamous. It's all about circumstances. It's about the level that you are in life. It's about what you need. Polygamy was a lot of give and take for our grandmothers and our grandfathers. A whole lot of give and a whole lot of take. Like it was the only thing that made sense. As for me and mine, my own MASAH, it will be me and you. Me and you. You looking at me, me looking at you. It will be one. 1 + 1 = 2. Like,
but Anthony and Joe, a lot of men always say that it's not natural for men, as if men are a monolith. You have to know guys who be chilling.
Yeah.
Don't act like all your friends are like some people we know.
Well, first of all my friends in marriages are those black men don't cheat, right? So number one, let's be very clear. But we're talking about averages. Right. On the average, and this is something that's said often, and I've heard it, and I kind of agree with it, is that on the majority, men are as monogamous as their options. Mm-hmm. So if you think about this, right? Like, I've known some guys who were forced to be monogamous. Like I had a former person that I dotted line reported to, and I could see him attempting. Failing.
Because he was one of those people that it's not natural for him.
And so my thing is, monogamy works very, very well for some people. What I don't appreciate is you sucking a monogamous girl like me into a seemingly monogamous marriage and then flipping the script. That's what you don't. The thing is, you don't have to do that, especially if you're an African man. If you're African, my God, would you take that yourself and go find you a Mende girl and go find you a Timney wife and live a
thing is,
happy polygamous whole life.
There are people who are
You
down
don't
for that.
have to, like-
It's you trying to force somebody into
Yeah,
what you
don't have
want
to
without
trick a
keeping it
girl.
real. Like Lenora said, if everyone effectively communicates with the other, honestly, a lot of these issues would be eliminated, and it's true.
Polygamy
People don't
works so well, and for many.
like, are you
different people
kidding
in
me?
many different
Again, we come from a
circumstances.
polygamous house or family, not a
Of course we
household.
do.
Our
Not a
parents were
household.
monogamous, but our family beyond that, polygamy.
Everywhere.
And all of those cousins from the different, they're all my cousins. I love them all. It's like this. It's my family. All, even the aunties that were they're from different moms of my. It's all my family.
It doesn't even like we don't even.
It doesn't register.
It doesn't even.
We don't say,
that
"Oh,
doesn't
that's
even
my
mean-
mom's half
Yeah.
sister." We don't even say that.
I remember growing up, like when I never understood what half sibling meant, what step sibling was. Like I didn't know the differences. And even Mari and Maya, I don't know that. Even Omari, well, he's 16 now, so and he's growing up in the U.S., so obviously he knows what a half sibling is. It's never come out of his mouth ever.
That these
and
are
I
my
don't
half
even think it
siblings.
registers in his
We
brain
don't
like
encourage
what a half sibling is
in our culture.
It doesn't mean anything to us.
Yeah.
Like your grandfather's wife is like is just your grandmother. Like
I myself,
like,
my name Fudiyah is after my grandmother's sister wife,
that's it.
who was her like bestie.
So and think about that.
So they were super
My
close.
mother named her daughter after her mom's mate.
That's what we call it.
Just because, like, see what that was like another wife that she just really, really loved.
Yeah,
Like,
because
she
there
just
were
really-
lots of them. So
Yeah.
there were like cliques within the wives.
Cliques within the wives.
So my mom or my grandma and Fudiyah were like
apparently
this.
two of the favorites.
So now I have.
They was the head chicks in charge, and they was besties. They was sister wife besties.
So when I say that we come from a polygamous family and it's
it
normal,
don't even mean nothing.
and yeah, totally. But I think it's a case by case basis. People are not honest enough with each other, but more so with themselves, man. With themselves. Me, as for me, I don't have that energy. Like if I have my dude and like I ain't got time to be like entertaining other
asking for a friend.
relationships with other
Would
dudes.
you guys practice polygamy? Us? Have you?
Me.
My own MASAH. My grandmother MASAH.
You know what's so
did it for
interesting
me.
about
me,
that?
my own MASAH.
And that's what I told. I feel like, and it was an American. No, it was one American and one continental African. Something about me.
Something about you.
Maybe it's in the name. Like I just said, I was named after my grandmother's sister wife. Something about me attracts people who try to bring me in to their polygamous situation. People who don't even necessarily have like a lineup, but they're like, you know what? You, like, I love my wife, but if you could just somehow join us. I don't know what.
This has happened to you on more than one occasion.
Several times. And not just, I mean, it's happened like as in like people, like dudes that I knew who were like active. And even, I was at the restaurant one day and a dude came in like, oh, are you married? No, I'll make you my second wife. So I can count how many people have told me that they want to make me their second one. And I'll be like, I'm nobody's junior wife. But let me tell you, even if I did say, you know what, I'm down to be polygamous. It's a rich dude. He's from Dubai.
Wife.
As a junior wife, me, Kenye. As a small wife, never.
And for me,
it's not possible.
It's never happened to me. Nobody's ever approached me like that.
And the thing is,
nothing about me. I'm a one man woman.
For me, it's not even one. It's one thing that I wouldn't agree to be in that type of relationship. But sir, you don't want me in your polygamous because the way women would all just hate me and be mad at me.
I'm telling you.
Because I'm just a happy-go-lucky, and they'd be like, look at this one. So yeah, it wouldn't be peaceful for the man. It's like this wouldn't work out for any of us. Like let's not do that.
No, we could never.
No, it just wouldn't work.
We could never ever.
It wouldn't work.
Never ever. But it worked out really, really well for our.
It worked out for our grandmothers.
And
God bless them for doing that, walking that path,
cousins,
so that I do not have to walk it.
Yeah.
God forbid.
Well, they did it so you didn't have to, right? I would
Stand
say
on
this.
the backs of giants.
I would say this. In a world where you could do it and it's living blissfully and you can afford it, then go for it. And if I'm speaking about myself, I could see myself in that kind of a relationship, but I feel like it's unrealistic to think that would be how it goes. So I, at one point thought I would, but I think it's unlikely.
I don't know in this society if it can.
Anthony said, unless he get that Mayweather money. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So we talked a lot about a lot of different things. We're almost 2 hours in. The one thing we did not cover was the question that 24 had about. He asked about Ghana versus Sierra Leone. He said, what was his direct quote? His direct quote was, I don't do sex tourism.
However,
that was 24 that asked that?
That was 24.
24, we got to talk to you about
I don't do sex tourism.
I've been meaning to talk to you about
how are the girls in Ghana versus Sierra Leone?
24.
So what?
What?
24, why did you feel it necessary
Are you still here, 24? Let us know.
Preface
Are you still on?
That question.
It's real suspicious that you preface
with
the question.
I don't do sex tourism. Like, why did you feel the need to say that first?
Because it sounds like you do.
Because it's giving sex tourism.
Well, he did say he was at Radisson Blue.
But when I say it wouldn't have been, if you would have just been like, just plain, hey, what's the difference between women in Ghana and women in Sierra Leone? But maybe you wouldn't have got the answer that you wanted from us. Maybe we would have been. So you said, you put us on a path when you said, I don't do sex tourism, but like if I did,
Joe, you can answer the question better than we can.
I can. So here's the way I would describe it. And okay, so the way I would describe it is like this.
I'm interested in this.
Just know that we're giving you the side eye 24.
So outward appearances with Ghanaian women, they are way more conservative. They're conservative in a lot of different ways. You'll also find that many of them do not hang out a lot as single women in their 30s, is what I don't see. Most of the women I see that are Ghanaian in their 30s are either married or at home. Maybe they're just not out. I don't know. They're
in church, Joe. Have you been?
There is this outward appearance thing. I have not here in Ghana. There's this thing that that is really big here in Ghana culturally, which is the idea of modesty and being conservative. Now, are they all that way when they're at home? Not necessarily. But the way they dress, the way they talk,
they represent that way.
The way they represent. So I actually vibe more in general with Sierra Leonean women. Sierra Leonean women are a little bit more open, free. Talkative.
We like to laugh.
Yeah.
Play. We joke. Yeah. And that's Sierra Leoneans in general. You're not going to have we gist a lot. So you're not going to have a 5-minute conversation with a Sierra Leone without gist about something. We're going to crack a joke about something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I would say I've definitely enjoyed dating in Sierra Leone more than I have in Ghana. I've met people in both countries that I was serious about at different times. At different times.
Were you serious?
I was.
He said he was serious.
I was.
I just wanted clarification.
And I would say in both of those in those instances, what I found was I was further off culturally with the Ghanaian or Ghanaians.
There's more of a culture clash.
Yeah. I met one Ghanaian that her and I we got along really well together, and that was because she had not dated Ghanaian men. She dated Nigerian men or Americans, and that was where I saw we were a little bit more aligned. But in general, I think I'm a little bit more inclined to want to date Sierra Leoneans.
We're just a good time people, is what we are. We're here for a good time. We're here for a party. That's who we are, generally speaking. So I don't really know, 24, since you're not asking about sex tourism. Since you're not asking about sex tourism, I don't know what it is that you're referring to. But I mean, Sierra Leonean women just tend to be Sierra Leonean people. We're just more down to earth. We're more open, free. Like, it would be a word that we use to like describe ourselves, like free, like loose body. We're not putting away the loose body. Like, we just free.
That doesn't translate well to English.
It doesn't. That's some.
You said loose body.
Loose body.
They loose, but it's not saying you have a loose body. It's saying we loosen our
a dancing culture. We're
loose. We're just open. We're open. We're approachable. We're talkative. We're loud. We're flamboyant. Like we're just very like free to be ourselves. Like we are not constrained. There's no cultural constraint. Our culture in Sierra Leone, maybe not all of, well, pretty much, definitely the Timni people, Mende people. We talk a lot. We ready to jack off.
And it's a Creole too.
Creole people, like in Creoles where we have all the slangs, all the Mamikars. So just Sierra Leone, the entire country, all 7 million of us, we are always ready to turn up for a good time, for a fight,
for anything.
When
we can turn up any kind of way.
Any kind of, we can do it how you want to do it. That's who we are. What I would liken Sierra Leoneans to, so then again, to your question, Sierra Leonean women fall into that category. We are more in line with, again, Trini, Jamaicans. Think about who they're tracing their DNA back to. Like they're going right back to like Sierra Leone, many of them, right? I think it's a place in Trinidad, like the street is called Freetown or something like that. Like we're the Trini,
Belizeans,
Jamaicans. I don't know any Belizeans. Are they rowdy? They lit? Okay.
I mean, and even when you go to Belize, it's like
I'm saying, like I feel like Bajan, like Rihanna seemed a little, she a little about it. Like that's very Sierra Leonean-esque. Nigerians.
Oh yeah,
right. We're like the same people, very about it at any given time. Yes. Very, very nice, a very good time.
Yeah,
so spicy. That's the thing.
We're definitely spicy.
Yeah,
we're spicy.
Our food and our personalities are spicy.
If you're looking for a Southern belle, you're looking for somebody who has on lace,
a Southern belle,
literal lace in the club.
Ghanaian women are comparable to Southern belle
with sleeves down to her wrists. She's in the club. Is she in the club? Yes, she's in the club. Does she have on a church dress? She absolutely does. That's going to be a Ghanaian girl. Now, the girl with the coochie cutters on and the halter top, that girl is Sierra Leonean.
But don't get it twisted. She has that on because she feels good in it and she likes how it looks on her body. It doesn't mean that like
she's free.
Yeah.
Like we're like not that. Loose women. We're just we're just here for.
We're free to be ourselves.
We're free to be ourselves. We're not going to be constrained by any cultural norms. Our cultural norm in Sierra Leone is turnt. That's our cultural norm. From the minute you land in Lunge, well, 24, you saw it. You probably saw 2-3 altercations before you had exited Lunge Airport. You probably saw 2, 3, 4, 5 people getting cussed out on the way, right? To get into Freetown from Lunge. And so that's just who we are as a people. That's who we are as a people.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. So interesting one. Anthony says, no offense, ladies, but from my observation, West African girls have nothing on them South African girls, especially them Zulu women.
First of all, Anthony, what do you mean nothing on them South African girls?
We have nothing on them.
First of all, I know I already said first of all. Okay, second of all, it's always a man who wants to compare women or wants us to feel some type of way about who was the sportscaster dude that just had something to say about Rihanna. I mean, I'm sure it'd be great, but she's no Beyonce. This is you. You're Stephen A. Smith right now.
Yeah, Stephen A. Smith.
You trying to pull a Rihanna and Beyonce.
But yeah,
right now, and we don't appreciate it. Shout out to the South african girls. They look like a fun time. I have every intention to go to South Africa and party with the South African chicks. They look like the type that would be my best friend. Honestly, people ask me from South Africa all the time, or Kenya
and Kenyans, like another good time people.
Kenyans
look like they stay.
I don't know what you mean by that, but they do look like a great time.
He has the peach emoji up there, so we know what he means by that.
But compared to West African peaches,
listen. The thing about South Africans is that they're like obese, right? So like,
that's general statement.
They be big. They be big. They be big. They be thicker than Snickers down there. So like when you say they have nothing on us, I guess you're talking about like their big old butts, but that also comes with their big old bodies, many of them. So we're happy with the way that we are. We're very, very happy with the way that we are. South African women are beautiful. Women all over Africa. Have you seen Rwandans? Stunning. Ethiopians, gorgeous. Sierra Leoneans, top tier. Like we're all happy with the way that we are. We all look like our family.
We exactly.
We look like our family.
I love when I look in the mirror. I'm like, oh, that's my granddaddy's forehead right there.
That's it.
So, and I'm sure in South Africa,
she looks just like
whoever.
We all love the way that we look. South African women are gorgeous. I feel you. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that was everything. I mean, we are now 2 hours
It's
in.
enough.
Okay.
It's actually enough.
You do so.
We do so. We don't done. So guys, thanks for joining our first ever inaugural episode of Peppeh Soup.
We're gonna get our setup together before next time.
We are.
We will.
The way we crammed on this.
We'll have
couch.
mics. We'll have lights.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have a
This is,
location.
when they say started from the bottom, this is the bottom right here.
We'll have better promotion.
Yeah.
All of the above. We'll be live on all devices and all platforms.
But thanks for tuning in.
We want to thank you guys for joining and tuning in.
You guys, we want, first of all, we hope that you
We
enjoyed
have to ask
it.
for something for next
But
time.
you guys, we want you to write in your dear
yes.
auntie. Dear auntie is like dear Abby, if you're
And
a certain
uncle.
age, and uncle. Like, we want you guys to tell us about your little spicy Peppeh. I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one who has been through some stuff. Y'all don't make me feel like I'm the only one who got in a relationship or two. So like, tell us about what's going on. We want to know your deepest, darkest secrets. It's just us. You can definitely
You can write
send
it anonymously. Send it to
Absolutely.
a friend and tell your friend to send it to us or something.
It doesn't matter if you send it in directly. We're never going to reference your
We would
name.
never-
Obviously, we would never ever reference your name. We want to know what you guys have gone through. We want to know what you've heard. We want to know what your questions are. We want to know what you want to know about dating Africans. About, you know, is all the rumors that you hear about Sierra Leonean men, are they true? Yes.
No.
Like, we want to know. So ask us these questions before
The thing
next
about Sierra
time.
Leonean men is that gets you is they're always a good
Time. That's it. Every
you
single
will
one of
have
them.
so much fun justing with
Every
Sierra Leonean
single
men.
one of them.
When
They're-
they dash you Peppeh.
Me. That my first husband. That my first. When I say like
It's like they'll put the hottest pepper inside the sweetest soup.
me and this dude, like, it's actually hard sometimes, like, to think back about like how miserable I was in the marriage, because ever since then, once we have just now eliminated my expectations of monogamy, and I just accepted you for who you were, although he will never admit that he cheated. So whatever. 20 years later, he never admit that he cheated. But whatever it is that he did, to the grave, but whatever it is he did that upset me, I don't even remember it, because he's such a good time. He's just so smart and so witty and like just legit.
We're still one big happy family.
Literally, like, we just are one big happy. We just show up everywhere at any event that we have. When I say any event, like, let me be very clear. I was coming to the U.S. for my cousin Bestie Baindu's wedding. I didn't even know that this Negro had been invited, but somehow I went by his house to see my son, and on the magnets on his refrigerator had let me know that my cousin had invited her to her wedding, or invited him to her wedding.
Yes.
Like, literally, dude was just there with his friends, just chilling. It's like he just showed up with a crew at his ex-wife's cousin's wedding. Like, that's how connected we are. So when I say Sierra Leonean men, everything you hear about them is true. But when you're going down in a ball of flames, it will be a good fun time. It will be a good fun time. A good fun time as a Peppeh.
I feel like we're gonna get into Sierra Leonean men more as time goes by.
And Kenye, we want to get into Ghanaian men.
We can get into Ghanaian men as well.
We heard you dibbled and dabbled.
I dabbled.
Oh yeah.
Off top, I can say they're not as fun as Sierra Leonean men. They're not as fun. But the thing is,
they have bored me.
No, honestly,
they have.
But they
for you.
They represent as such nice people that you're like, okay, I should give him a chance because he's a nice guy. So that's what draws you in. With the Sierra Leoneans, it's like I'm just having fun with just nonstop, just. With the Ghanaians, it's like, oh, small gist, but then you're like, oh, he's just very nice, or like he's respectful. But a lot of that is just surface level, if we're being honest. But the gist, the Sierra Leonean gist is also surface level. So like, I'm not saying one is better than the other.
Pick your poison.
Yeah, pick your poison.
You want somebody respectful, somebody modest, somebody quiet, somebody who's gonna be in church with you. Ghanaian dude, is he gonna be in church? Absolutely.
He'll be waking you up to go to church
without you, sister.
Like you're serious.
You get your up out of here.
You'll see me at the church.
Yeah, Ghanaians are always praying for their sins. They go to church multiple times a week.
Will he be at church? You want a church going, man? Get you a Ghanaian. You want somebody who is there to show you a
for
good
Saturday
time.
night.
For Saturday or Sunday on the beach after church. Sunday on the beach after church. You want to meet him there for a good time. Sierra Leone.
Oh man.
Anyway, you guys, it's been so much fun. Thank you guys.
Yeah. Oh wait, where can they send the questions?
Send them to Peppeh Soup. Peppeh Soup on IG at Peppeh Soup, and that's PEPPEH.
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 Peppeh
Soup. Peppeh soup.
Yeah, and of course you can also send them to Authentic African.
Yeah,
Authentic
that's easier
African.
for you.
But it's probably better to go to Peppeh Soup. Just follow the Peppeh Soup
just
Instagram
to keep
page
us organized,
and send it
guys,
there
please.
because that is what it's all about.
Peppeh Soup. In case I don't
My
know if we
inbox
were very
is full
clear.
of Authentic African.
So now that we're wrapping up for people that came in late, this is Authentic African. He has a show on YouTube. He goes live every week about diasporan matters, if you will.
Serious stuff. You talk about serious things.
Yeah, like
serious
moving from America to the continent between Sierra Leone, Ghana. Myself and MASAH, we have a separate show called Peppeh Soup, and it's all about love and relationships. And when somebody shows you Peppeh, as we say in our culture, and that's when you just had a really spicy experience in a relationship.
Yes,
I feel like we've all had some, and it's very interesting to talk about.
So we want to talk about not only celebrity divorces and child support issues and baby mama drama. We also want to talk about yours and ours.
Us.
I have spilled the beans.
Yours,
MASAH,
you've earned your street cred.
Listen, everybody,
you were very vulnerable. You put yourself out there.
If you don't know my story, that was like one of like the most vulnerable things.
It was therapeutic though, right?
Very, very therapeutic. Now it's out there. Mm-hmm. Like nobody can get me like with my sex tape. I don't have a sex tape, guys. I'm using that was just like a. But the point is, you can't ever
throw it in your face.
I
some M&M
I
stuff.
Kim Kardashian, y'all.
Yeah.
You can't like. I've already told you. Have I been married and divorced twice? I surely have. Do I have 3 children? I surely do.
I mean, but don't just be bringing it up to Tifata like that.
Don't just be saying it.
Don't just be saying it like that.
Like you
so
know
okay, when it comes to your second husband,
take your time when you're talking to me.
So know how you're bringing it up, okay? Respect yourself.
But I am a living example that life goes on.
Life does go on.
Children move on. You can find peace and happiness. You don't have to live in your raggedy African marriage just because your mom and your auntie, your uncle, your father, everything. Listen, live your life. Just live
you only
your
have
life.
one, man. Don't disappoint yourself at the end of the day.
Man.
Don't disappoint yourself.
In case you didn't know, Sierra Leoneans take a long time to say goodbye.
Oh, yeah.
We're again.
We don't know how to.
As we had mentioned, we're talking to people.
First of all, it's so funny because we're so American in a lot of ways, but there are just some things that are just
like saying goodbye.
It's literally, he's not lying.
So anyway, okay, well,
it feels rude to just be like,
okay, well, no.
All right,
we out.
Okay.
Well, look,
anyway.
We want to thank you guys for joining as always. Until next time, we're looking to do this on a bi-weekly basis, and by bi-weekly we mean every other week, so twice a month. So we'll try to be back in the next 2 weeks. We'll make sure that we promote it so you guys know it's coming. Make sure you send us your questions. I'm sure there's going to be plenty to talk about because there's always something going on in Black love and Black relationships. So we'll talk about those things. And we'll talk a little bit more about our lives too. Kenye and I haven't really dove too deep yet.
I purposely don't dive deep.
Kenye, that was going to be like, you literally don't dive deep.
You know me now.
Okay.
I'm a private person, but I'll go through my Rolodex and I'll figure out what we can share on the channel because I've had my share of experiences with the male gender.
Yeah, I share past, not current.
Yeah, there was something I wanted to say, but we can't say it. Joe, this is the thing about you.
Okay, so
this is the thing about you is that your past it recurs.
Cycles. It's giving cycles.
Recurring past, your past and your present, they sort of blend together.
Well, you can't know where you're going unless you know where you've come from.
Come
you know
on,
what I'm saying? So on that note, guys, thank you. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, we out.
It's always a pleasure. We'll see you guys all in the next video.
9 dots.
We're gonna see.
And I'm still live up there. So before we get into anything crazy, this is still not going. This thing is having issues.
In this live.
No, you good. Oh, hit the X end video and then leave it, and then I'll do the rest.